they released the book Forgotten Realms: Heroes of Faerun, and I am covering the subclasses that's in that book now. And this is very exciting, and I'm happy to say this is a good one, which is a nice pick me up after doing the fighter banneret, which was so disappointing. So, the Noble Genie. Oath of the Noble Genies, Paladin. Brandish the elemental splendor of genies. Paladins, sworn to the oath of the Noble Genies, revere the forces of the elemental planes. Through taking this oath, Paladins draw power from the four different types of genies: Dao, masters of earth; Jinn, masters of air; Ifrit, masters of fire; and Marids, masters of water. In Faerun, many paladins who swear this oath hail from Kalimshan, a land teeming with genies. Paladins who swear this oath often undertake quests that take them all over the realms and across the multiverse, including the elemental planes. These paladins share the following tenets: sow the seeds of creation and ashes of destruction, lead with splendor and grace, respect the elements, and fear their wrath. Cool flavor text. I like the idea. I like the concept, and I do like stuff from Kalimshan. I think we don't have enough stuff from that, and I like to see more of it. In fact, I think, well, we'll do a lore video, but cool to see that kind of stuff. And I'm especially excited about this one because this is how I homebrew flavored paladins in Dark Sun when I did Dark Sun. Because paladins weren't allowed, but if you have elemental themed things, then that totally made sense. So this is awesome for Dark Sun, which is my favorite campaign setting as well. Level 3, Elemental Smite. So this is we're starting off with a banger. Immediately after you cast Divine Smite, you can expend one of your channel divinity, one use of your channel divinity, invoke one of the following effects. So this is expensive. You're both casting a spell and using your channel divinity, and you don't get a lot of those. So these are the options. You get 4 options, one for each of the genie types. Dao's Crush. Earth rises up around the target of your Divine Smite. The target has the grappled condition, escape DC equal to your spell save DC. While grappled, the target has the restrained condition. That's strong. There's no duration, so it's basically unlimited or indefinite until they escape or teleport out in some way. So strong, starting off strong. Jinn's Escape. You teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself and take a semi-incorporeal form, which lasts until the end of your next turn. While in this form, you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, and you have immunity to the grappled, prone, and restrained conditions. So this is like the Shatter Kai teleport feature, plus some. You've got some immunity to several conditions. So and teleport, right? So this is strong, a nice teleport feature. Now you're not going to be able to do it a ton because it does take your channel divinity, but doubling down on your divine smite, which paladins love to do, this is great. Ifriti's Fury. The target of the Divine Smite takes an extra 2d4 damage, and fire jumps from the target to another creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself. The second creature also takes 2d4 fire damage. I guess there had to be a bad option in the list, and this is it. 2d4 fire damage, non-scaling, is not worth your channel divinity, even though it hits a second creature. Like, I don't know if they meant to have this scale in some way, but could you imagine being like a 17th level paladin and burning your channel divinity to be like 2d4 damage on you and you? I don't. What the heck? I don't get this. They could have made it They could have made it a number of d10s equal to the number of channel divinities you have from your class, for your paladin class, and then it would have been interesting, right? Then it would have scaled. It would have been d10s. It would have been interesting and not overpowered. That would have been like, okay, yeah, a nice additional damage on top of my smite by spending my channel divinity. But my recommendation: don't use Ifriti's Fury. Yeah, not worth it. Marid Surge. The target of your divine smite and each creature of your choice within a 10-foot emanation originating from you make a strength saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature is pushed 15 feet away from you and has the prone condition. So that one's thematic and strong, right? It's like a wave emanating from you, pushing everyone back, knocking them prone. But also keep in mind that you can divine smite with a thrown melee weapon. So you can throw a spear, divine smite the target that you hit. So you can douse crush and grapple restrain somebody at range with a spear, trident, javelin, Marid Surge too, right? So you can throw that at range, hit somebody at, what's the maximum range of a javelin? 120 feet? 120 feet, push them back, knock them prone, but then the emanation still emanates from you with Marid Surge. So knock people away from you and push somebody back who's far away. I guess if that's an option, but If you're wanting to push and people knock them prone, it probably makes sense that you're hitting somebody with a melee attack next to you. But this is a good feature, and you got 3 solid options, 1 crappy option, but that's fine. 3 solid options is more than enough to work with. This is a good feature overall. Also at level 3, Genie spells. So at level 3, we get Chromatic Orb, Elementalism, Thunderous Smite. Level 5, we get Mirror Image, Phantasmal Force. Level 9, we get Fly in Gaseous Form. Level 13, Conjure Minor Elementals and Summon Elemental. And 17, Banishing Smite and Contact Other Plane. Chromatic Orb is weird on a Paladin. It doesn't make sense. You should not spend your spell slots on a ranged attack spell that's not super great at low levels, and you don't have the spell slots at higher levels to make it great, and you don't get the advantage on the spell attack. So Chromatic Orb, not a good choice for this Paladin. Elementalism, flavorful cantrip, cool idea. You know, uh, Thunderous Smite, you already had access to, but it's a decent thing to be using. Mirror Image, decent spell. Phantasmal Force, not good, and you should not spend your spell slots on that. Like you would, yeah, you should not spend your spell slots on that. Fly is good and interesting, and it's a solid pick for Paladins. Gaseous Form, kind of thematic, but not a great spell overall. Now, Conjure Minor Elementals is an interesting pick for Paladins. That is a good spell, and it's pretty good at level 4, and it scales a little bit. You're not going to benefit from the scaling very much because your spell slots cap out at level 5. So you're not going to be that massive, dealing the massive damage like a Valor Bard can do with this or a Blade Singer. But it's good. Is it better than Holy Weapon? It'll do slightly more damage than Holy Weapon, which you already have access to as a Paladin at level 5 or level 5 spells. So that's a little better, but it's not nearly as exciting as you might think adding this to your spell list. Summon Elemental, another probably disappointing one, especially for a Paladin, right? Because you have to be 13th level before you get access to that. And those summon spells are pretty weak at the level you get them. They're relatively weak at the level you get them when you're a full spellcaster. So a full spellcaster would get Summon Elemental at level 7, and using that against level 7 or CR7 monsters, they don't last long. Imagine using them against a CR13 monster. It's not going to last at all. And you don't have spell slots to upcast it either. And it's not great to upcast them to an odd spell slot level. So not a good pick for them. Vanishing Smite is not one of the better smite spells. It's kind of low on the totem pole for smite spells, mostly because it takes your highest level spell slot and you don't have a lot of 5th level spell slots. It's not really worth spending your 5th level spell slot on a Banishing Smite. Contact Other Plane is a nice ritual to have on your spell list. Overall, this spell list is not very good for a Paladin. And that's disappointing. But they have a lot of other good features. Also at level 3, when you aren't Genie Splendor, when you aren't wearing any armor, your base armor class equals 10 plus your dexterity and charisma modifiers. You can use a shield and still gain this benefit. You also gain proficiency in one of the following skills: acrobatics, intimidation, performance, or persuasion. First off, skill proficiencies, I love them. I think they're more than a ribbon. When I'm DMing, I call for a lot of ability checks. These get used pretty frequently, all the time actually. If you play with me, you'll probably use one of these, call for one of these 5 times in a session. So nice, I like it. The first half of the armor class bonus is basically the barbarian's unarmored defense, but with dexterity and charisma instead of dexterity and constitution, and you still get to use your shield. So that's nice, and I'm glad that they fixed this. It was way too strong in the UA version of this, where you could wear light armor and add your charisma modifier. That was too much. So I like this version. I like the idea of the unarmored kind of like genie, like you're dressed like a genie. You've got like a turban, you've got like a sash around your waist, maybe some silk pants and cool slippers, and you're just bare chested. Unless you're female, then don't go bare chested. You wear something up there. But flavorful, cool, and this really kind of doubles down on a not very often seen build for paladins, which is the dexterity paladin, right? So this is leaning into the dexterity paladin, which is uncommon for them. If you go dexterity and dump your strength, you can't multi-class. But this one has a great capstone, so I don't know that I would care about that, right? Just go dexterity paladin all the way. Level 7, Aura of Elemental Shielding. Choose one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. You and your allies have resistance to that damage type while in your Aura of Protection. At the start of each of your turns, you can change the damage type affected by this feature to one of the other listed options. No action required. So this is quite strong. because it's not very often that you simultaneously need multiple resistances to different damage types. It's very often, usually, if you need one of these damage types, it's just one at a time, right? This one fight, you're fighting a red dragon and it's breathing fire, and you need just fire resistance. And the ability to just, in the moment, at the beginning of your turn, just switch to whatever you need is quite powerful. And these are some of the most common damage types that are in the game. So, besides bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. So that's great. The only kind of qualifier I would say that doesn't make this OP at this point is that it's that 10-foot range, emanation range of your aura of protection, which is pretty tight, right? So if you're fighting a a dragon that breathes a cone, you don't want to bunch up into that small of a space, because then they definitely will hit all of you. You might do better just by spreading out, and then not everybody's hit anyway. But it's not like that's bad. That's still good to have that resistance. And for those people who are near you, maybe it's just you and the frontliners who are in that aura, and all the backliners are totally spread out so they don't get hit. Still great. And yes, upgrades at level 18. Another reason to just stick Paladin all the way through on this one. You get that 30-foot aura, and then you probably are getting all of your allies. And they're quite spread out at that point, and they can all still benefit from this. So this is strong at level 7, super strong at level 18. I like it. Level 15, this one's a bit of a downer. Okay, Elemental Rebuke. When you're hit by an attack roll, you can take a reaction to have the attack's damage against yourself rounded down and force the attacker to make a dex save against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the attacker takes damage equal to 2d10 plus your charisma modifier of one of the following damage types: acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. On a successful save, the attacker takes half as much damage. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your charisma modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So they keep throwing this on all kinds of new subclasses, this kind of thing where you cut the damage in half, use your reaction, cut the damage in half, and then you damage them back in some way, a little bit. At level 15, I don't like these. I mean, if this was at level 3, I'd be far more interested. First of all, 2d10 damage is not a lot at level 15. That's very little damage. 2, at level 15, you have a lot of ways to use your reaction. You've probably built in several different ways already to use your reaction in more effective ways, right? Whether it's the protection fighting style to be a great tank, or you have what is it called? Brace from Polar Master, which lets you make an attack when somebody moves into your reach, or Sentinel, right? All of those are better than this. And this is your level 15 abilities. So this is all you get between levels from your subclass 7 to 20. All you get is this. This is disappointing. Now I still think this subclass is quite strong overall. So this isn't enough to like ruin the subclass. It's just gonna feel bad to go that long and be like, oh yeah, 15. Well, you might try it a few times and be like, well, that was a waste of my reaction. I'm never going to use that again. I'm going to save my reaction for Sentinel. Or you probably got the shield spell from Magic Initiate somewhere, so you're going to save that for shield. This doesn't make sense, and I hate that they keep putting it on all kinds of subclasses at really high levels. What a bummer. Level 20, though, totally redeems itself. As a bonus, Noble Scion, as a bonus action, you gain the following benefits below for 10 minutes or until you end them, no action required. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. You can restore your use of it by expending a level 5 spell slot, no action required, and you got to have at level 20 2 5th level spell slots. So that means you can do this 3 times in a long rest, which is doubly a reason why you should never waste a 5th level spell slot on Banishing Smite. Use this. Right? You're going to save your 5th level spell slots to do this. This is even better than Divine Smite, okay? So you get flight, 60 feet, flying speed, and you can hover. Awesome, no concentration. Minor Wish. When you or an ally in your aura of protection fails a d20 test, you can take a reaction to make you or that ally succeed instead. All right, this is a great use for your reaction, okay? You get to just, nope, 1 failure per round. Saving throw, ability check, attack roll, whatever you want. It's not even a reroll. It's just succeed instead. Okay? Super strong, and another reason why you will never use your level 15 ability. Once you have this, you should never use your level 15 ability. Save your reaction for this. This is always a better reaction than that. Anyway, this is great. And so you finish strong, and this is a great subclass. Like, very good thumbs up. Disappointing at level 15s. This spell is disappointing, but that's okay. Overall, great subclass. Those things don't bring it down. So still give it a thumbs up. And this will be fun to play, I think. Very fun, very thematic. And it is interesting that this is the noble genie who's supposed to be the one of the main themes is like being, you know, this unarmored warrior, kind of dressed in Arabian style, and yet this guy's wearing scale armor and scale armor on a dragonborn. So he's got scales and he's wearing scale armor. I don't know, but this will be fun. It's going to be awesome. So I recommend it. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time.